So we're going to start things off with a presentation about this big metal tube in front of you. As you can imagine, this is the one and only Trans-Alaska Pipeline. It is 800 miles long. It spans from the northern coast of Alaska and the shores of Prudhoe Bay, the Beaufort Sea, and the Arctic Ocean. It goes 800 miles south and terminates at the Valdez Marine Terminal in Valdez, Alaska, on the shores of Prince William Sound in the Gulf of Alaska. It was built from 1973 to 1977 and has a diameter of 48 inches. What you see here is not the actual pipeline. It's inside there. It's 4 feet in diameter. The average thickness of that steel is about 5/8 of an inch. They've got insulation wrapped around the outside of that pipeline. What you see here is the outermost steel sheeting encasement to protect it from the weather. Now, about half of this pipeline was constructed above ground. About half of it was placed below. They preferred to bury it. It tended to be safer that way. As an example of it being below ground, if you turn your attention north to that big hill over there in the distance, and note that swath of ground that's been clear cut away, that's the right-of-way easement of the pipeline. It's buried right up that hillside over there. Now, if you haven't noticed already, it also goes right back underground over here at the end of that fencing. Now, in instances when the pipeline is above ground, like what you see here in front of you, is an indication that it's on unstable ground, that it's on what's called permafrost. And you're going to hear quite a bit more about permafrost later on. So, permafrost means that it is ground that is frozen solid, and it stays that way year-round. It never thaws out when left undisturbed. It froze eons ago during our ice age, and even today, if you were to dig down here 8, 10, 12, 15 feet or so, that material is frozen solid. It stays that way year-round, never thaws out when left undisturbed. You may have noticed the condition of our roads by now, particularly our more rural roads. Over time, when that permafrost is disturbed and allowed to thaw out, it turns kind of mucky. And then in the wintertime, it refreezes. And over the years, as it repeats that process of thawing out and refreezing and thawing out and refreezing over and over again through the seasons, it begins to expand and contract and heave and buckle. And as a result, we get all kinds of those heaves and buckles manifesting on our roads. Lots of cracks, fissures, potholes, and so forth. Similarly, you have to be careful where you build your home in Alaska. If you build your home on top of permafrost, over time, the heat signature from the footprint of your home is going to begin to disturb that permafrost. It's going to start to heave and buckle your foundation, cracking your foundation, messing up door jambs, cracking windows, and so on. It's for those purposes they've got the pipeline suspended above the permafrost. You'll note these H-shaped structures the pipeline's resting on. Those are called VSMs, which stands for Vertical Support Members. Now I'll turn everyone's attention to the ones that are further upstream here a little bit with those funny looking fins on top of those cylinders. Those cylinders are sealed under high pressure. They go down to the ground anywhere from 15 feet, even down to 75 feet into that permafrost. They're sealed with a compound you may have heard of called carbon dioxide, or CO2. Those fins serve as heat exchangers. In combination with that pressurized CO2 compound, it helps keep the ground good and cold, passively refrigerating the permafrost, which can be kept intact, and the integrity of the pipeline can be maintained. Now note too that the pipeline itself is not actually bolted down to these VSMs. It's allowed to slide back and forth and bump up and down and so on. Likewise, they don't always run the pipeline in a straight line. Occasionally you'll see they'll even zigzag it, particularly along our fault lines. Just to help allow for expansion and contraction during all the temperature changes through our seasons. It also helps provide for all the seismic activity we have in our state. We get a lot of earthquakes in Alaska. This pipeline was built to withstand an 8.5 magnitude earthquake. That's a massive earthquake. The biggest one to occur on record since the pipeline was built was back in 2002. That was along the Denali Fault, about 200 miles south of us. That one was a 7.9 magnitude earthquake. This pipeline wiggled and jiggled and bounced around as it decided to do, but it did not sustain any damage in and of itself. Now, in instances where the pipeline is buried, it includes, for example, for water crossings, river crossings. The oil, of course, is buoyant. It likes to float on top of water. That's where these concrete structures come into play that I'm standing on here. These are called river weights, or saddles. They literally saddled these down on top of the pipeline to anchor it down good, keep it good and stable when they buried it underneath those riverways in known flood zones. Well, they also buried it for animal crossings. There's a lot of those. For example, we have a lot of caribou in Alaska. In fact, the latest estimate I'm aware of is just over 500,000 head of caribou here. That rivals the number of people we have in Alaska. For some reason, historically, when these caribou herds would come up to this pipeline, they'd be intimidated by it. They would not want to cross underneath that pipeline. They'd walk parallel to it, but they wouldn't go underneath it. So with those known migrational routes, they went ahead and buried the pipeline so the caribou could go over top of it, unbeknownst. Meanwhile, by contrast, our moose and bear and various other critters have never seemed to have minded at all. You see them go underneath there all the time. They'll go right up to those VSMs and scratch their backs on there and so forth. And indeed, the caribou herds have also been observed who've gotten much more acclimated to this pipeline. They've started to go underneath there much more regularly these days. Now, in terms of maintenance, I'd like to turn everyone's attention to this sign here to my immediate right. We get a lot of questions out here as to why in the world are we spelling Alaska so strangely on this sign here. That word is actually pronounced Alyeska. Alyeska is an ancient Alaskan Native Indian word that means great or main land. It's the Alyeska Pipeline Service Company that's responsible for maintaining this pipeline. Now, Alyeska has a maintenance program, for example, with the use of what they call pigs. And they've got two basic categories of pigs, and I didn't assign them these names, but they refer to them as the smart pigs and the dumb pigs. There's an example of a dumb pig inside this cross-section of pipeline that's been cut away here. It's also referred to as a scraper pig. Now, one of the issues that they deal with quite a bit these days with regard to maintenance of this pipeline includes the buildup of various kinds of sludges on the inside of that pipe. Similar, I suppose, to maybe how cholesterol might build up inside of an artery. But that oil typically comes out of the ground here pretty hot, about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And they like to keep it good and warm. It makes it easier for them to push it on through the pump stations. So they've got 11 pump stations, 5 of which are currently active. And it's at those pump stations where they can reheat that oil as necessary, particularly in the wintertime. It's also at some of those pump stations where they can insert and remove these pigs from the line. Now, in this instance of a scraper pig, imagine, if you will, it's just like a big old version of a giant kitchen rubber spatula. You know, the kind you use to scrape all the batter from a bowl. Same basic principle here. As the pressure from the pump stations is pushing this pig through the line, it's literally scraping inside that pipe to clean it up good. Coincidentally, that's the only time you hear any noise. That oil flows through this pipeline dead quiet, 24/7, except for when they're pushing one of these scraper pigs through the line every so often, because it's a fairly tight fit, and as they go through there, they tend to generate a sound that resembles the squeal of an upset pig. Perhaps that's partly how they got their name. So after they send a scraper pig through there to clean it up good, they follow that up with the smart pig. And I need to impress upon you that the smart pigs are bona fide mechanical devices. They're fully computerized, full of circuitry, electronics, and so forth. The smart pigs, by contrast, are designed to go along through there, basically looking for signs of wear and tear on the inside of that pipe, any anomalies in that steel. They can go through there confirming the roundness of that pipe, making sure it's not going oval on them. They can confirm that there's no inappropriate wrinkling of that steel as they go around bends, corners, and elbows. They can confirm the thickness and uniformity of that steel, making sure it's consistently the same thickness throughout that pipe. They use things like electromagnetic imagery, ultrasonic imagery, actually going along through their scanning inside that pipeline. All the various data that they then compile, very carefully analyzed by all of our engineers. Now, economically, I'll share with you, I spend my winters down in Juneau, our Alaska state capital, down in the far southeast panhandle of Alaska. Did any of you happen to pass through Juneau or way north of Germany? Okay. So for many, many years now, I've served, and I continue to serve, as the legislative aide and staff for the Alaska State Senate, the state legislature, when they're in session. I'm fairly well acquainted with their budget system here and can tell you that about 85% of all of the state of Alaska's revenue, that is to say, 85% of the state government's general fund revenue, with which we finance our state public infrastructure, 85% of that money comes from the oil in this pipeline. That money is used to fund everything across the board here, folks, from all of our public facilities, our public education system, our ports, our roads, our harbors, our airports, the troopers, the correctional system, the courts, and all of the judiciary. 85% of all of that general fund revenue is derived directly from oil in this pipeline. It's the lifeblood of our economy here in Alaska. And this oil also contributes a significant portion of the U.S. domestic oil supply. It peaked in 1988 when the oil in this pipeline contributed 25% of the entire United States of America's domestic oil supply. Currently, due to our own decline in production and other projects that have been coming online down in the States, these days we're in the neighborhood of about 5-6% of that contribution. But every bit of this oil that goes through this pipeline comes out the other end there in Valdez. It all gets loaded up onto tankers, and then it's all shipped down to our west coast, Washington, Oregon, California. Even some of it on down through the Panama Canal and back up to Texas and Louisiana, where it's either stockpiled or refined and distributed amongst the U.S. economy. Well, that concludes the presentation I had in mind for you folks. We got lots of time for questions later on. For now, though, we got a great trip through history to share with you at the bottom of this hill. I want to thank you again for coming out to Gold Dredge 8. All aboard, please.
Coming around the bend, I seen sunshine. Says I don't know when, but I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. The time keep dragging on. When I hear that lonesome whistle, I'll think of San Antone. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. Keep my eyes wide open all the time. Find it very easy to be true. Come on, people, because you're mine. I walk the line.
He was an Italian immigrant, ironically a coal miner, that discovered gold on a little creek about 6 miles east of us as the raven flies. And it was that discovery that launched a massive stampede of thousands of folks coming up from the States and the Klondike, Canada, in search of that precious yellow metal.
Out on the river and showing them around.
We're on a riverboat tour, our last tour, and these are some of the homes along the river.
That helped 25 people.
Chena River.
Eventually graduated to our original riverboat discovery.
My name is Danielle. I'm a Athabascan Indian. I was born and raised right here in Fairbanks. My mother is from the village of Rampart and my father from Galena, which are both along the Yukon River. I'll be a junior in high school this year and I plan to go to college to study journalism. This is a typical setting of an early Athabascan village after that first significant contact with the Western culture. Prospectors arrived by stern-wheel steamboat into the interior, just like you folks have done today. Missionaries, traders, and trappers followed, and after 10,000 years of bone and stone existence, the sudden introduction of new tools, weapons, and food allowed the Athabascan to stop following herds of game and to settle into a more permanent village like the one you see here. The cabin right next to me is built entirely from resources found here at this site. For the walls, larger spruce trees were cut and peeled. The gaps between the spruce poles are chinked with moss. And then for the roof, younger spruce poles were cut, peeled, and laid flat across the top and then covered with a layer of spruce bark. Soil was then placed on top of the bark and grass was planted to help seal and insulate the roof. This would also help the roof from eroding. Now, how many of you think you can survive in a cabin like this through an Alaskan winter?
I had to.
Well, I'll just stay here. Well, the rest of you, when you visit me in January, are going to have to stay in my spacious guest cabin over there on your far left. No, that's actually called a trapper's line cabin. Cabins like these were built along a winter trap line about a day's journey apart from each other. These cabins allowed trappers and their dog teams to extend their trap line because they could safely journey very far from their village. And although it does not look like much, but after a long day of trapping in 50 below weather, these cabins were a very warm and welcome sight. And then when the trapper got back to the village, he would then need somewhere to store his valuables, which leads to the structure I'm sitting on. This is called a cache. Cache is a French word for storage or hiding place, which is exactly what this is used for. The storage shed is built on stilts to keep the contents off of the wet ground, deep winter snow, and away from pesky animals. Here, hanging on front of the cache, you can see some of the fur-bearing animals found in the interior. This is a large-sized timber wolf tusk.
This is the riverboat. Discovery 3 is the name, and we traveled on this for a few hours today, and we just stopped at an Indian village. When that boat toots the horn, we have to get back on and get back to where we started from. But it's been a very nice trip. The weather's been great. It's in the 70s here, and in about 4 hours we'll be heading home to the New York area, landing at Newark Airport. August 10th, 2016 is today.